Good evening to all the students of ICAI present across India. I'm Dr. C. Anirvinna. Today, I'm going to deal with monetary policy. I told you in my last class, monetary policy, there are only two doctors are there. There are two doctors are there. One doctor is monetary policy. Second doctor is called fiscal policy. And the other teacher might have taught you the fiscal policy. I'm going to teach you monetary policy. Okay, monetary policy is one of the doctors for the economy, along with fiscal policy is another doctor. Okay, there are two doctors, right? And for us, we have so many doctors to treat our health problems, right? We have heart specialists, kidney specialists, okay, eye specialists, skin specialists. But the economy, there are only two doctors are there: monetary policy and fiscal policy. Monetary policy is under the hands of RBI. Fiscal policy is under the hands of is under the hands of the government. Okay, now why monetary policy has become so important, right? The reason why monetary policy has become so important, because try to understand this reason. All countries, okay, in fact all governments are suffering from high fiscal deficit. Okay, now you must be wondering, what is fiscal deficit? Okay, fiscal deficit means what government receives minus what government spends. Okay, what government receives minus what government spends is called fiscal deficit. All countries are sitting on a high fiscal deficit. Okay, now when all countries are sitting on a high fiscal deficit, they have no option to depend upon this major doctor called monetary policy to help the economy to grow, to help the economy to grow. Every economy, including US, Europe, all countries are depending upon one major doctor called monetary policy, because they're already sitting on fiscal deficit. What is fiscal deficit? What government spends minus what government receives. Okay, when you're sitting on high fiscal deficit, I don't want to aggravate my fiscal deficit, right? Now, if you aggravate your fiscal deficit, then your economy will be downgraded. Okay, who downgrades your economy? Modi, Fish, Standard & Poor, they may downgrade your economy. Okay, so that's the reason why every economy wants to keep fiscal deficit under control. 3% of GDP. Every economy wants to keep, Indian economy wants to keep GDP, fiscal deficit 3% of GDP. 3% of GDP. So already we crossed around some 3.75, 3.85 GDP. So every economy depends upon a monetary policy. I told you monetary policy is a very important tool used by RBI. Okay, now what is the purpose? All we discuss in detail. Please keep notes, jot down the points. Okay, I'm going to teach this chapter something very, very special. Okay, you jot down listen to the lecture, listen to the lecture again, keep a notes, start writing. Okay, now what we're going to learn from this doctor? Okay, we're going to define what is monetary policy and its objective, different components of monetary policy framework, the analytics of monetary policy transmission mechanism and its types, the operating procedures and instruments of monetary policy, the organizational structure for monetary policy decision. These are all things we are going to cover as part of monetary policy. Okay, monetary policy definition. Okay, I told you, monetary policy is one of the major tools operated by RBI. Okay, with the objective of supply of money and control of credit control. Okay, with the objective supply of money and credit control. Okay, and in order to achieve growth. So one of the major important tools of RBI, right? Okay, now objectives: price stability. When I say price stability, you need to write a notes. Please write these words. Price stability means we don't want neither inflation nor deflation in the economy. Neither inflation nor deflation. Okay, inflation means persistent rise in the price level. Deflation means fall in price level. If price level falls below 0%, it's called deflation. Okay, we don't want neither of them. Okay, we don't want neither inflation nor deflation. We want stable price level. We want stable price level. Inflation hurts the economy. Deflation also hurts the economy. Okay, deflation means what? Economy is in recession. Okay, when economy in recession, depression or severe slowdown, prices will fall. Prices will fall. That is a bad news for the economy. Okay, and inflation means, you know, inflation. Inflation leads to decrease the value of money. Okay, and decrease the value of money, and all sorts of problems are associated. That's why we want stable price level. We want stable price level. Stable price level. Okay, neither inflation nor deflation. We want stable price level. Okay, so exchange rate stability. Okay, objectives of monetary policy. Major objective of monetary policy is what? Price stability. Okay, now exchange rate stability. Okay, the problem with first objective is RBI has to take care of both growth and inflation. Okay, now if I control inflation, how I control inflation? By increasing repo rate. By increasing repo rate. What is repo rate? Repo rate, the rate at which RBI lends money to commercial banks. Okay, if I increase the repo rate, what happens? Commercial banks cannot borrow money from the RBI, and they increase the lending rate. The moment commercial banks increase the lending rate, so firms and individuals don't borrow money from the bank, and they don't demand goods and services, and slowly price level come down. The moment the firms cannot borrow, they can't invest. Okay, and individuals don't borrow from the banks, and they don't demand goods and services, and slowly price level will come down. So if you're keeping repo rate high, means what? You are sacrificing the growth of the economy. You're sacrificing the growth of the economy. Okay, this is the problem you are facing, right? So if you want to control inflation, you are sacrificing growth. Okay, both growth and inflation are conflicting objectives of monetary policy. Okay, both objectives are conflicting, means what? If you want to control inflation, then you forget about growth. Okay, now what is happening currently? Currently, India is suffering from high inflation rate, 6.95 March 2022. India inflation rate is 6.95. Okay, and that is above the target level, above the threshold limit of 6%. Okay, well above the target level. 6.95 is the inflation, and RBI has not increased the inflation because RBI has not increased the repo rate because RBI is focusing on the growth. If RBI lost several months focusing on the growth because of the pandemic, COVID, our growth of the economy suffered. Even though inflation is rising, RBI is keeping quiet by not increasing repo rate because RBI is focusing on the growth of the economy. Okay, when you're focusing on the growth of the economy, then inflation will flare up. Okay, inflation now flared up. Okay, inflation flared up because of what? Increase in the oil prices, increase in the food items. Okay, food items. Okay, all this now increase in the input cost. Okay, inflation, growth, both are conflicting in nature. If you focus on inflation, then you are sacrificing on growth. If you're focusing on growth, then there is a danger of inflation. Both the objectives are conflicting in nature. So, which objectives are conflicting nature? So objective number one, see here, objective number one, price stability and high rate of economic growth. Both are conflicting in nature. How to measure growth of the economy? Growth means GDP. GDP means output. Okay, now RBI is focusing on the growth of the economy. Now inflation has gone up. Okay, inflation has gone up. Okay, try to understand me, right? So economic growth and inflation, they cannot go together. Both are conflicting objectives. Exchange rate stability, second objective of monetary policy. Exchange rate stability means there is neither appreciation of currency nor depreciation of currency. Appreciation of currency, okay, you know what is appreciation of currency, right? Today $1 is equal to 75 rupees. Okay, now it becomes 74, 73, 72. It's called appreciation. Today $1 is equal to 75 rupees. If it becomes 76, 77, 78, depreciation of currency. Both are bad for the economy. Both are bad for the economy. We don't want neither appreciation of currency nor depreciation of currency. If currency appreciates, what happens? Our exports would become expensive, imports would become cheaper. That might create current account deficit. Okay. Similarly, if rupee depreciates, our exports would become costly. Our exports would become cheaper. Imports would become costly. Imports would become costly, and exports would become cheaper. India imports oil. India imports gold. India imports raw materials. India imports a lot of machinery. If import becomes costly, and import is part of consumer price index. Import is part of consumer price index. That will lead to increase in the inflation rate. So we don't want neither appreciation of currency nor depreciation of currency. We want stable currency. Stable currency. If there is stable currency, it is good for the economy. It's good for the companies to borrow outside India. Okay, and it's good for the exporters, importers. Stable currency gives them a guiding path. Okay, full employment. We want to achieve full employment. Okay, we want to achieve. How do you achieve full employment? Through monetary policy tools. Okay, RBI has tools. If RBI decrease the repo rate, okay, if RBI decrease the repo rate and banks decrease the lending rate and firms borrow money from the banks at a low rate of interest, then investment would increase. Investment increase, output increases. Whenever output is increasing, employment is increasing. Employment is increasing. Output nothing but GDP growth of the economy. Employment increases. Employment, if all of you get the jobs, employment increases. And if I add all your income, it becomes national income. Okay, high rate of economic growth. High rate of economic growth. I told you, no, growth means output GDP. Currently, RBI focusing on the growth because of the pandemic. The RBI did not increase the repo rate. RBI kept the repo rate at constant level to promote the growth of the economy. Okay, by decreasing repo rate only, you can promote the growth of the economy. So if you decrease the repo rate, then banks lend money to individuals and firms, and more investment, more output. Output nothing but growth, GDP, and that's all. Okay, ensure equilibrium in balance of payments. Okay, balance of payment. First of all, you should know what is balance of payment. Balance of payment is what? Balance of payment is a systematic record of all economic transactions of one country with the rest of the world. Okay, now balance of payment, you have two accounts, current account and capital account. Okay, now balance of payment is in disequilibrium, means current account is in disequilibrium. Balance of payment has two accounts, current account and capital account. Current account we have current account and capital account. Current account is in deficit, means current account deficit means imports of goods and services more than exports of goods and services. Imports of goods and services more than imports of goods and services. Imports of goods and services more than exports of goods and services means current account deficit. It is current account deficit. Imports of goods and services more than exports of goods and services, it means current account deficit. When there is a current account deficit, RBI has to take care of current account deficit. Okay, it means what? Our import bill is more. Okay, your import bill is more. To pay off you, it means your imports are more. It means you need to pay off your import bill. Okay, your import bill, because import of goods and services more than exports of goods and services means what? Your import bill is very high. Your import bill is very high. You need to pay off your imports. So how can you pay off your imports? To pay off imports, you require foreign exchange reserves. You require foreign exchange reserves. So what does RBI do? Okay, RBI will do what? What does RBI do? Suppose I don't have foreign exchange reserves. I keep repo rate high. Okay, when I keep repo rate high, then capital will come from outside the world. Okay, now capital will come outside the world. When capital, how capital will come? Through foreign institutional investment, through foreign direct investment. Capital will come inside the country. When they bring dollars, exchange rupees with RBI counters, then RBI will get the enough dollars. Okay, when RBI gets the enough dollars, they pay off the excess import bill. Okay, they pay off the excess import bill. Okay, they pay off excess import bill. Okay, I'll keep repo rate high. Okay, I'll keep repo rate high. Okay, I keep repo rate higher than the US. Okay, now repo rate is in India is called repo rate or short-term interest rate. In US it is called only short-term interest rate. Okay, in India it's called short-term interest rate and repo rate. In US it is called only short-term interest rate. Okay, same meaning. Okay, when I keep repo rate, short-term interest rate higher than US, what happens? Investors take out their money from the stock market of US and start investing in India, because returns in the market directly depends upon the repo rate. Okay, equity market, bond market, debt market, any market, returns based upon the repo rate. Okay, so since repo rate is high, returns in all other markets, okay, it depends upon the repo rate. If repo rate is high, returns also will be high in other markets. So looking at the high repo rate, investors take out their money, okay, and start investing in India. When they start investing in India, they need to convert dollars into rupees. In the process, RBI acquires foreign exchange reserves, dollars. Using these dollars, RBI will pay off import bill. Okay. The other thing, what does other thing RBI can do? RBI. So this how RBI controls the ensure the equilibrium in the balance of pay. Let me take few questions here. Yes, Mansha. 1 rupee note, 2 rupees will be included. Suryam, I'm not covering all the topics. Okay, whatever the topics given by your institute, I'm teaching. Okay, so they didn't give me fiscal policy. I'm not teaching. Okay, I should be teaching both the doctors. They gave me only one doctor. I'm teaching one doctor only. Okay. Jasprit Kaur, good currency rate. I'll teach this topic in the 4th unit. Jasprit, please wait. Okay, please wait. Okay, good question, Jasprit. I'll answer the question in upcoming chapters. Okay. Don't worry. Okay. Stable currency rates, I'll give you an idea. Okay. Clear? Any doubts? All of you are following me? I'm teaching. Please make a notes. I'm teaching differently this course. Okay. Please make a notes. Okay. Please make a notes. Go through my recording again. Okay. If you have any doubts, next class you ask me again. Okay. I will explain again. Okay. You ask me any doubts, I'll explain again. Okay. Okay, please make a notes. Okay. So we discussed objectives of monetary policy, right? Price stability, exchange rate stability, full employment, high rate of economic growth, nothing but output GDP. That's called economic growth. Ensure equilibrium in balance of payments. This is what we discussed here. Okay. Now, analytics of monetary policy. Okay. Analytics of monetary policy. You know, RBI has a lot of tools. Okay. So many tools are there. RBI. RBI has CRR. RBI has repo rate. RBI has reverse repo rate. RBI has SLR. RBI has bank rate. Okay. Okay. So many tools. RBI has so many tools, right? Okay. RBI has so many tools. Okay. So many tools. Okay. So many tools under the hands of RBI. Okay, what is the purpose of these tools? The purpose of these tools is to influence various macroeconomic variables. Okay, influence various macroeconomic variables. Okay, now what are the various macroeconomic variables I need to influence? Aggregate demand I need to influence. Aggregate demand I need to influence. Aggregate demand means what? You buy t-shirt, I buy shirt, and Ramu buys sugar, Sita buys tea. Okay, if you add all the demand, it becomes aggregate demand, right? Right? You buy t-shirt, I buy pen, Sita buys vegetables. Raju buys vehicle. Okay, if you add all the demands, it's called aggregate demand. Aggregate demand is very important. Aggregate demand is very important. Okay. Okay. Now RBI needs to influence aggregate demand. Okay. Now if aggregate demand is not, what happens if aggregate demand is not there? If aggregate demand is not there, then firms will not borrow money from the banks and invest. Okay. So RBI has to make sure that there is always people buy goods and services in the economy. Why you are calling aggregate demand? Because I'm adding the demand of 1.4 billion population of India. When I'm adding 1.4 billion population of India demand for various goods and services, then it becomes aggregate demand. When I'm adding the demand of 1.4 billion population of India, then it is called aggregate demand. Then it is called aggregate demand. RBI has to influence. Okay. Now, if RBI does not influence aggregate demand, then what happens if there is no aggregate demand? Firms will not invest. If firms don't invest, there is no employment, there is no income, there is no growth of the economy. What is growth? Output GDP is called growth. Clear? I need to influence the price level. Okay. Now price level means what? Suppose price level is high. Okay. Now price CPI, India measures inflation by using consumer price index. Okay, this chapter also will be taught by other teacher. I'm not teaching. Okay, but try to understand the index that we use for measuring inflation is called CPI, Consumer Price Index. CPI. Okay, Consumer Price Index. Okay, now I need to influence the price level. Okay, how to influence price level? If inflation rate is high, I need to bring down to desirable level. What is desirable level of inflation in India? 4%. Okay, desirable level of inflation in India is 4%. Okay, inflation level India target is 4%. Okay, 4%. Okay, inflation level should be maximum 4%. Should not fall below 2%. Okay, 4% is the maximum and 2% is the minimum. Okay, now currently inflation rate is 6.95. Okay, so 4 plus or minus 2. Okay, 4 plus or minus 2 means what? India inflation should not go beyond 6%, should not follow below 2%. 4 plus or minus 2. 4 plus or minus 2 means what? India CPI, Consumer Price Index inflation, should not go above 6%, should not fall below 2%. And currently, our inflation rate is 6.95 March. This CPI inflation rate is measured monthly. Okay, and we have one more index called Wholesale Price Index, WPI. It is 14.95 at 14.35. Okay, we don't use that. We generally use CPI. Okay, so I tell you, inflation target India is 4 plus or minus 2. 4 plus or minus 2 means inflation level should not go above 6%, should not fall below 2%, should not go above 6%, should not fall below 2%. Okay, 4 plus or minus 2. So now it is now above 6%, 6.95. Okay, 6.95. Now it is a duty of RBI through repo rate. RBI should bring down that inflation to 4%. Okay, so slowly 6.95, I'll bring down to 6.5, 6.5 to 6.25, 6.25 to 6%, then 5.75, 5. Slowly I should bring down to 4%. Okay, 4%. Clear? I am influencing the variable. I'm influencing the variable here. Okay, I'm influencing the variable here. Okay. Clear, guys? I'm influencing price level here, right? If price level is high, using repo rate, again firms will not invest. Firms don't invest, then there is no investment. No investment means no output. No output means no employment. No employment means no growth, no income. Okay, so income also I need to influence. Income is what? What is income? Income is GDP means total value of goods and services produced in a country in a year. Total value of goods and services produced in a country in a year is called GDP. That is goods and services in volume terms. Volume terms. If you convert volume terms into rupee terms, it becomes national income. So GDP, national income, both are same. Okay, if you express in volume terms, it's called GDP. If you convert in monetary terms, it becomes national income. Okay, now I want to influence the quantity of money. Okay, now so RBI has to supply money into the economy, right? So I need how much now, whether now RBI, I should know whether economy requires more money supply, less money supply. I should influence the interest rates. Okay, you see, so all the variables I'm going to influence, okay, through my tools. Okay, now what is monetary policy transmission mechanism? Okay, now monetary policy transmission mechanism is how various policy actions of RBI really impacts the output, price level, employment, aggregate demand, and income. Okay, monetary policy transmission mechanism is how various policy instruments used to buy. Very important question. Okay, how various policy instruments used to by RBI influences various macroeconomic variables such as aggregate demand, okay, price level, output, employment, income. Okay, clear, guys? Clear? I'm explaining simply well. You should be with me only. Okay, this chapter Anir will not teach us well. Every chapter I'll teach you making it simple. Clear, guys? Hemant, how much percentage of GDP? India is yet to achieve double-digit growth rate of GDP. Our GDP suffered because of COVID, right? Still, India is one of the fastest growing economy in the world. When we will not achieve 10% GDP, okay? We will not achieve GDP. The economy has to grow. There is no end to growing, okay? Okay? There is no more output means more GDP. There is no limit for it. Okay, we want to have more growth rate. Clear? Clear, guys? Any doubts? Clear, guys? So I'll take some monetary policy. Gustavus, please repeat the last point. See, monetary policy transmission mechanism means how the policy actions, okay, various policy actions tools used by RBI impacts the aggregate demand, employment, consumption, price level, income. Okay, so our monetary policy transmission mechanism means how various policy tools employed by RBI impacts various macroeconomic variables such as income, output, employment, consumption, aggregate demand, price level, etc. Clear? Nidhi, what you are not getting? I'm explaining so simple here. What you should explain what you didn't get it clearly. I'm not getting means what you're not getting. So simple I'm explaining. I'm just explaining so simple macroeconomics. I'm repeating all the points 2 times, 3 times. You need to write very clearly. Okay? You can't say not getting means what? What you're not getting. How do I know what you're not getting? So simply I'm explaining. Okay. Now, so mechanism of monetary policy. Okay, mechanism of next topic. Now, there are 5 different mechanisms through which monetary policy influences the national income, price level, output, income, etc. Okay. So there are 5 different mechanisms through which monetary policy influences the national income, output, aggregate demand, consumption, income, etc. Okay. So first one is the interest rate channel. Okay. The exchange rate channel, the quantum channel, the standard asset price channel, the expectations channel. Okay, mechanisms of monetary policy. There are 5 different mechanisms, okay, through which monetary policy influences various macroeconomic variables: aggregate demand, national income, consumption, investment, output. Okay, they are the interest rate channel, the exchange rate channel, the quantum channel, the standard asset price channel, and the expectations channel. Okay, the interest rate channel, the exchange rate channel, the quantum channel, the standard asset price channel, and the expectations channel. Muktabas, analytics of monetary policy, just talking two things here. How various tools of monetary policy influences various macroeconomic variables. Okay, and okay, monetary policy transmission mechanism also how actions of monetary policy affecting various macroeconomic variables. Okay, now third topic is mechanism of monetary policy is there are several ways you can achieve these objectives. There are several ways you can achieve these objectives, either through interest rate. Okay, what is interest rate here? You mean repo rate here. The exchange rate. Okay, through exchange rate also RBI can achieve this objective. The quantum channel means what? How much supply of money is required to achieve these objectives of the economy. Okay, now the standard asset price channel. Okay, now standard asset price channel means what? We are talking about equity bond market here. Okay, the standard asset price channel here we're talking about equity and bond market. Okay, or real estate sector. How? Through this you can achieve these objectives. The expectation channel. Okay, expectation channel means what? People have their own expectations about the economy. Okay, so these are the various ways you can achieve the same objectives. Muktabas, I'm able to clear. Through these various ways you can achieve the same objectives. How do you achieve that? Okay, clear? Am I clear to all of you in the class? Any doubts? I'm clear. Clear, guys? Clear? Any doubts here? Okay, I'll explain. Okay, I repeat again. See, analytics monetary policy, you need to remember how various tools of macroeconomic policy actually impacts various macroeconomic variables. Monetary transmission policy or transmission mechanism is, okay, see how the actions of RBI really, okay, bring the desirable transformation in the economy through various macroeconomic variables. Okay. Now, in the interest rate channel, okay. Now, interest rate channel, try to follow me here. Assume economy is in severe slowdown. Economy is in severe slowdown. Muktabas, I already answered the question. Monetary transmission mechanism is how actions of RBI impacts the various macroeconomic variables. Now, mechanism of monetary policy means what are the various mechanisms available at the hands of the RBI, to discuss. At the hands of the RBI to achieve the various objectives. Okay, through interest rate I can achieve these objectives. Through exchange rate, the quantum channel. Okay, or the quantum channel. Let me explain this. Okay, the standard asset price channel and the expected. These various ways I can achieve the same objectives. Okay. Okay. Suppose there is a slowdown. Okay, slowdown, recession, depression in the economy. Okay, slowdown, recession, depression in the economy. What do you mean by slowdown, recession, depression in the economy? Slowdown, recession, depression means there is no aggregate demand. Okay, there is no aggregate demand in the economy. Okay, so there is no aggregate demand in the economy. When there is no aggregate demand, firms will stop producing goods and services, and people don't spend money. In slowdown, recession, depression time, people don't spend money. They're worried about the economy. They don't spend money. So there is slowdown, recession, or depression in the economy. No aggregate demand. So you know that slowdown, recession, depression means fall in the price level, no aggregate demand, high unemployment in the economy, low consumption, low output, low GDP. All variables are down, 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 down. High unemployment. Okay. Now, what does RBI do? So RBI, what does RBI do? I told you, no, slowdown, recession, depression. RBI, what does RBI will follow? Expansionary monetary policy. What is expansionary monetary policy? By cutting repo rate. Okay. RBI cuts the repo rate. Okay. When RBI cuts the repo rate, what is the current repo rate? Current repo rate is 4%. RBI cut the repo rate from 4% to 3%. Okay. When RBI cuts the repo rate, so commercial banks now are encouraged to borrow money from RBI. Okay, because whenever RBI cut the repo rate, then what commercial banks do, whatever securities they have, they go and pledge these securities with RBI and take money from RBI, and that money, when they take money from RBI, they decrease the lending rate. When they decrease the lending rate, firms will borrow. So firms start investing. Output increases, employment increases, income increases. Income means national income increases, and aggregate demand increases. When people start buying goods and services, slowly price level increases, consumption increases, right? So this is how I'm going to achieve my objective. Interest rate channel means using repo rate. How does RBI is going to achieve the objectives? Okay. Suppose it is also, suppose there is inflation in the economy, or inflation in the economy. So inflation in the economy, what does RBI do? RBI increases the repo rate. Okay, RBI increases the repo rate, and opposite will happen. Opposite will happen. Okay. Rishav, what you are texting, please. You are not texting properly. I'm sorry to say this. Okay, whole batch, you're not texting properly your queries. Okay, this is not accepted. Right? I'm teaching on online. Whatever query you write very clearly. Okay, you need text properly. You know, Rishabh, you're saying point number 5. Which point number 5 you're talking? Huh? Not clear, please. I repeat again. Through interest rate channel, RBI. So suppose there is a slowdown, recession, depression in the economy. It means there is no aggregate demand. Okay, and there is high unemployment. Okay, no GDP, low income, high unemployment, fall in price level. So RBI will cut the repo rate. When RBI cuts the repo rate, it is encouraging commercial banks to borrow. When commercial banks borrow from RBI, when repo rate is cut, they also decrease the lending rate. Firms will borrow heavily from banks, and individuals also start borrow from the banks. So slowly, output increases, employment increases, aggregate demand increases, income increases, consumption increases, investment increases. This is how RBI through interest rate channel achieve the objective. Clear, guys? Any doubts? Now we'll move to exchange rate channel of monetary policy. Okay, how can I achieve this objective? Through exchange rate. Okay, through exchange rate. Okay, now, okay. So through exchange rate channel. So now repo rate is there. Okay. Now what is repo rate? Repo rate is also known as short-term interest rate, the rate at which RBI lends money to commercial banks. Now what does, suppose repo rate in India is higher than US. Okay. US means US short-term interest rate. Okay, when repo rate is higher than the US, what happens? I told you, no, repo rate is higher than the US. What happened? All investors, they take out their money from the US stock market and start investing in India. When they start investing in India, rupee would appreciate against the dollar. So investors, what they do, they think repo rate is high in India. short-term interest rate is high in India comparison with US. So returns will be high if you could invest in India. They take out their money from the US stock market, start investing in India. When they start investing in India, they exchange their dollars with rupees to buy equity shares in India. So when they start converting their dollars into rupees, start exchanging, what happened? Rupee would appreciate against the US dollar. Now when rupee appreciate against the US dollar, what happens? Your export price of our exports become expensive, imports become costly. So rupee appreciation indirectly influencing the prices of our export goods and import goods. Okay, so because of rupee appreciation, indirectly it is influencing the prices of our export goods and import goods. And suppose US short-term interest rate is constant, and India increase the repo rate and short-term interest rate. When India increases the short-term interest rate repo rate, when US repo rate is constant, again investors take out their money from stock market and start investing in India. Again, rupee would appreciate, and rupee would appreciate means what? It is influencing the price of both exports and import of goods. Okay, so exchange rate really impacts all the individuals, because suppose rupee is depreciating and your papa want to send you to US to study, right? So what happened? Rupee is depreciating means what? Your papa has to pay more tuition fee, right? Investors, right? Those investors who want to invest in US stocks, okay, they have to pay more. Okay, now and it influences the trading firms. Okay, even government, if government wants to borrow outside India, if rupee is depreciating, the cost of repayment of debt also would go up. Okay, similarly, number of firms also will borrow outside India, so the cost of repayment will go up if appreciation of rupee, okay, and depreciation of rupee, okay, impacts the both individuals, investors, trade firms, and even government. Manisha, I told you in the introduction, whether you listen to me or not, countries across the world, depending upon monetary policy, they don't want to indulge in fiscal policy because they're sitting on high fiscal deficit. Okay, they're sitting on high fiscal deficit. Okay, when you're sitting on high fiscal deficit, it means what government receives minus what government spends, right? Okay. Okay, so when they're sitting on high fiscal deficit, they're relying on monetary policy. Okay, so if you want to give, if government wants to give subsidy, then fiscal deficit will increase. Akanksha, Akshanil, see, if rupee appreciate, what happened? Our exports would become costly. Our exports would become costly. Imports would become cheaper. Okay, our exports would become costly, imports would become cheaper. So imports of goods and services more than exports of goods and services, it leads to current account deficit. Imports of goods and services more than exports of goods and services more than imports of goods and services more than exports of goods and services, it leads to current account deficit. That's why we don't want rupee appreciation. Himanshu, investors always compare the repo rate short-term interest rate in India with their short-term interest rate. If India's short-term interest rate repo rate is high in comparison with US, investors think that returns in India would be higher in comparison with the US, right? So repo rate is called benchmark rate because this return gets reflected across all the market, equity market, bond market, every market. Returns depends upon the benchmark rate or repo rate. If repo rate is high in India, comparison with US, investors will take out their money from US stock market and start investing in India because they think the returns would be high in India in comparison with US market. Trade firms. Muktavyas. It's trade, comma, firms. Okay. Trade, comma. Trade means international trade. Firms means firms. Okay. Trade firms, right? Trade, comma, firms. Clear, guys? Clear, guys? Okay. The quantum channel. The quantum channel. Okay. Quantum channel, it complements and amplifies the interest rate channel. Okay. So quantum channel means how much quantum of credit should be available in the economy at this point of time. Suppose there is inflation in the economy, quantum of credit should be available should be less. Suppose there is a deflation in the economy, fall in the price level, lack of growth in the economy, recession in the economy, the quantum of credit should be available should be more. I repeat again, if there is inflation in the economy, okay, then quantum of credit should be available should be less. Okay, if there is a deflation, recession, okay, slowdown, okay, depression, okay, then quantum of credit should be more. Okay, repeat again. If there is inflation in the economy, the quantum of credit should be available should be less. If there is a recession, slowdown, lack of growth, deflation, fall in price level, then quantum of credit should be available should be more. Okay, so it's this quantum channel means what? Similar to interest rate channel only. Okay, quantum means how much credit should be available to the economy. How much credit should be available to the economy at the given point of time. If there is inflation, quantum of credit should be available should be less. If there is a deflation, recession, slowdown, lack of growth in the economy, the quantum of credit should be available should be more. Muktavyas, you can buy if you have money, you can buy US stocks. Yes, you can buy US stocks. Clear, guys? Any doubts? Any doubts? Clear? Clear? Okay. Now we'll move to the. See, we covered what? We covered now the interest rate channel, the exchange rate channel, the quantum channel, the standard asset price channel. Okay, mechanism of monetary policy. Okay, the balance sheet channel of monetary policy. The balance sheet channel of monetary policy. Balance sheet channel of monetary policy. Okay, now repo rate is very high. Okay, now first of all, you should understand when repo rate is high means what? There is a high inflation in the economy. Okay, when there's high inflation in the economy, repo rate is high. When repo rate is high, when firms borrow from the commercial banks, okay, at a high rate of interest, okay, now when I borrow from the commercial banks, when repo rate is high, it means lending rate is high, and I borrowed money from the banks. What happens? The strength of my balance sheet deteriorates. Okay, strength of balance sheet, you have assets and liabilities, right? So when I borrowed at a high lending rate because of high repo rate, the strength of my balance sheet deteriorates. The strength of my balance sheet deteriorates. The strength of my balance sheet deteriorates. Okay, now, what is the direct impact when because my lending rate is high? Okay, because I borrowed at high lending rate. Okay, now I will have the problem at the repayment when I'm repaying the loan. Okay, when firm is repaying the loan, they have to pay at the floating rate. What is floating rate? Current rate. Okay, current rate is called current floating rate. Okay, so firm borrowed money when repo rate is high, lending rate is high, firm has borrowed, it deteriorates the balance sheet. The direct impact is when firm is repaying the loan, okay, then the repayment burden will be there on the firm because they have to repay at the floating rate. Okay, now indirect impact. Okay, and when I borrow at a high, when the repo rate is high, when I borrow at high lending rate, and and it reduces the capitalized value of firm's asset. Okay. Now what happens when I'm borrowing at a higher rate of interest? It reducing my assets at balance sheet asset side. It reducing the value of my capital value of my assets. Capital value of my assets. Clear, guys? Clear, clear. Please jot down. Please jot down. Please listen to the recording. I explain it. Make it very simple. Okay. Okay. This is not the first time I'm teaching for you guys. Okay, I've been teaching for CA students since 2010. Okay, since 2010 I'm teaching. Okay, and I'm an expert in monetary policy and fiscal policy. They gave me monetary policy to teach. I'm teaching also. Okay, clear, guys? I repeat again. The inflation rate is high. That's why repo rate is high. Now firm wants liquidity. Okay, when firm wants liquidity, they have to borrow from the banks at high lending rate. Okay, at high banks lend them at a high lending rate. So firm has borrowed at high rate of interest. Okay, okay. Firm borrowed, it deteriorates the balance sheet of the firm. Direct impact is what? Okay, direct impact is someday firm has to repay the both principal and rate of interest. So at a floating rate, it'll add up to the problem of the firm. Indirect impact is what? When I borrow at a high rate, it reduces the capitalized value of my assets. Clear? Now the standard asset price chart. The standard asset price chart. Okay. The standard asset price chart. Okay. Now, okay. Now look at here. Standard asset price channel. Okay. Now increase in repo rate. Okay. Short-term interest rate is increased. Okay. Now short-term interest rate increase. Banks, what they do, they increase the lending rate. Okay. Now banks increase the lending rates. Firms cannot borrow because lending rate very high. Okay. So what does firm will do? Firm needs liquidity. Firm needs money. What firm will do? Firms will issue debt instruments such as bonds, treasury bills. Okay, at an attractive rate of interest, because firms need money. Firms need money. They can't borrow from commercial banks because lending rate is very high. Now, what does firm will do? Firms will make debt instruments more attractive. Treasury bills, short-term bonds. Okay, they bonds or long-term bonds, all bonds, treasury bills, they make it more attractive by offering attractive rate of interest. When you offer attractive, by offering attractive rate of interest, what investors will do? Investors would prefer to invest in debt instruments because return is more in comparison with the equity and falling in the equity prices. Okay, now invest what they do. Alright, debt instruments are giving more return than the equity, so they would prefer to invest in debt market, resulting in falling in the equity prices. Okay, now if stock prices are fall because of high repo rate, now all the investors who are holding financial assets in wealth in equity, what they do? If all the investors who are holding the financial wealth in the form of equity, what happened? So it's a fall in equity price means what? Fall in consumption level, and they reduce the consumption level because of fall in equity prices. So when they decrease the consumption, so consumption is falling. Firms don't invest, so investment will fall, output will fall, employment will fall, income will fall. Again, Mage, you are not typing question properly, please. If you don't type question properly, I will not take your questions, please. You need to type questions properly, please. One more third point. What do you mean one more third point? Huh? This is the way you type the questions. This is not done. You are not respecting the teacher. You need to write very clearly. One more third point, sir. What do you mean by this? I don't understand. Clear, guys? Clear, guys? Clear, guys? The standard asset price channel. Okay. Now we'll go to the expectations chart. The expectations chart. Okay. Now I told you, people in the country, 1.4 billion population. Okay, they have their own expectations about the economy. They think inflation is going to be there and inflation is going to be very high. Okay, now what they do, when inflation rate is going to be there, inflation rate is going to be high, what they do, they stop demanding goods and services. They stop demand because inflation rate is high. Now I have the information from the market that inflation rate is going to be high in near future. What people will do, inflation rate is very high, I will not buy any goods and services because inflation is very high. Now, when inflation rate is high, when people stop demanding goods and services, what happens? Firms don't borrow from the banks. Now, firms stop investing, and when firms stop investing because of there is no demand from the public, and it lead to fall in consumption, fall in fall in employment, fall in income, fall in consumption, fall in aggregate demand, fall in price level, and output in the economy. Okay, I repeat again. People have their own expectations about the macroeconomic variables. I'm taking here inflation. People think that inflation rate is very high, right? When inflation rate is high, people what they think, I don't buy any goods and services. When people don't buy any goods and services, and firms don't borrow any money from the borrow from the liquidity from the banks, and they stop investing. When they stop investing, and output will fall, employment will fall, income will fall, price level will fall, output will fall, consumption will fall. What is your question? Jihini. So please explain the standard asset price channel about stock prices. See, look at here. Jihini, look at here. Short-term interest rate is very high. What is short-term interest rate in India? Repo rate. Okay. When repo rate is high, what happens? Banks will not borrow. Repo rate is high. So banks, whatever liquidity they have with them, they increase the lending rate. Okay. When they increase the lending rate, firms will not borrow. Firms will not borrow. Okay. Firms will not borrow because repo rate is very high. Now firms require liquidity. Okay, because lending rate is very high, firms cannot borrow because lending rate is high because of repo rate is high. So what firms will do? Firms try to raise money through debt instruments. Okay, through treasury bills, bonds. What firms will do? Firms will offer attractive rate of interest on bonds and treasury bills. So when they offer attractive rate of interest on debt instruments, treasury bills and bonds, investors would prefer to invest in debt instruments and rather than in equity. So resulting in what? Fall in equity prices. Fall in equity prices. So stock market, what happened? Equity prices will fall. Okay. So there are households, investors who have invested in equity. What happened? Because of fall in equity prices, what they do? They reduce the consumption. Okay. They reduce. Clear now? Clear, guys? Okay, let us take a recall. What we covered here. We discussed objectives of monetary policy here, and price stability and high rate of economic growth both are conflicting in nature. And analytics of monetary policy, how policy tools of RBI affects various macroeconomic variables. I explained monetary policy transmission mechanism. Okay, and we discussed a mechanism of monetary policy, the interest rate channel, the exchange rate channel, the quantum channel, the standard asset price channel, and the expectations channel. We covered all 5. Here. Clear, guys? Still clear? Clear, guys? You need to make a notes. Whatever I'm explaining, it is not there in Vika textbook. Okay, it is there, but I'm making it even more simple. Okay, what is there in textbook, I'm making it even more simple. So you need to make a notes. Clear, guys? Clear, guys? Clear? Clear? All of you understood? Any doubts? Clear? Clear, clear, clear. Clear? Any doubts till now? Any doubts you got? Please ask me. And Pooja, companies anyway gain money both by issuing equities and bond and pay interest for both. What is the significance of bonds, sir? Pooja, try to understand here. When repo rate is increased, banks increase the lending rate. Okay, and investors what they do? They invest in equity market and bond market. Now, the moment firms make bond market more attractive than equity market. Okay, see, I need to offer more than equity, right? I need to offer returns on bond and treasury bills and debt instruments more. I need to ensure more return to attract. See, I need capital for my business, so I need to offer attractive rate of interest. I need to offer attractive rate of interest. Okay, the moment I offer attractive rate of interest, so investors would prefer to invest in debt instruments and rather than equity, resulting in falling equity prices, falling equity prices in stock market. Clear, Pooja? Pooja, clear? I'm offering. See, investors want. Hey, why the investors? Investors always look for returns. When bond market is offering attractive rate of interest, why would I keep money in equity market, Pooja? Why would I keep money in equity market? As simple as this. When bond market is offering attractive rate of interest, why would I keep money in equity markets? Pooja, clear now? Good question, Pooja. Good question. Clear? Pooja, clear, guys? When bond market is offering attractive rate of interest in comparison to the equity market, investors would sell off their equity and start investing in bond market. As simple as this. Oh God, you need to understand this, guys. When returns in bond market is more than the equity market, investors will dispose of their equity and start investing in bond market. Take that lollipop. Clear, guys? Clear, guys? Clear. Pooja, no reply. I made it so simple. You made me to explain even more better. Clear? Can I proceed? Can I proceed ahead? Can I proceed ahead? Okay. Let me take one more recap what we discussed till now. We discussed beautifully objectives of monetary policy. Hey, Pooja, try to understand. Returns on equity depends upon the investment of the firms. If firms invest more, then only equity price will go up. Pooja, firms are not investing; they need money. See, if a firm produce more, output more, and then equity price also will go up. Firms are not producing. Firms need liquidity. Clear, Pooja? Firms in dire need of liquidity, and they can't borrow from the banks because lending rate is high. Firms need liquidity. So what they do, they make debt instruments more attractive than equity market. Again, Mukta again. Can you repeat again? What you want to repeat? Again, Mukta so repeating same mistake. Alright, please type the question properly, guys. Okay. Guys, let me recap this whole thing again. You make a notes. Repo rate is high. Repo rate is high means lending rate is very high. Now banks want liquidity. Okay. Now they can't borrow from the banks because lending rate is very high. Now if I borrow at a high lending rate, my cost of production would go up. My cost of production would go up. Cost of production go up means price of the good will go up. So nobody will buy my goods. So I need liquidity. What I'll do, I need to attract, I need liquidity. What I do, I'll make debt instruments more attractive. Okay, treasury bills, bonds, and make more attractive by offering high rate of interest. By offering high rate of interest, what happens? Investors, what they do, they give up equity and start investing in bonds because return in bond offers me more attractive returns in comparison with equity. So what they do, then equity prices will collapse in stock market and they start investing in bond market. And investors who are keeping still equity on their hands, what they do, because they fall in equity price means they reduce the consumption. Once they reduce consumption, firms will not borrow. Consumption means what? Foreign aggregate demand. Firms cannot invest. Foreign output, foreign employment, foreign income. Clear? Uday, you don't say thank you to the teacher. I explained so well. Clear, guys? Clear. The operating process, separate topic. Operating procedures and instruments. Okay? Operating procedure and operating procedures and instruments. Okay. So now choose what is operating. The operating framework relates to the aspects of implementation of monetary policy. Okay. It primarily involves three objectives. Okay. Choosing the operating target. Okay. Now what is operating target? There is a high inflation in the economy. Okay. No, high inflation in the economy, right? That is my operating target. Okay. Whose operating target? RBI's operating target. Okay. There's high inflation in the economy. Okay. Now, what is my intermediate target? So high inflation in the economy, I need to achieve immediately economic stability, right? If inflation is there in the economy will collapse. Okay. I want to achieve suppose there's a high inflation in the economy. Okay. Now, high inflation in the economy is my operating target, and I want to achieve economic stability, right? That is my intermediate target. Okay. Now, what is inflation now? 6.95 in the month of March. Okay. Now, I want to achieve economic stability by April, May, June. Okay. April, May, June, I want to achieve economic stability. Okay. I want to achieve economic stability. Okay. Because inflation is leads to fall in the value of rupee. Okay. Inflation is very bad. Inflation means rupee depreciates. Fall in the value of money. Okay. It means price of oil is very high, food items are very high, and value of money goes down. So I want to achieve economic stability. Means what? Okay, now I want to bring down the inflation from current 6.95 to by June I want to bring down by at least 5%. Okay, I want to bring down to 4%. By June I want to bring down to at least 5%. Okay, that is my intermediate target. Okay, 5%. Intermediate means what? Short-term target. Okay, now April March 6.95, April, May, June, 3 months. I want to bring down the inflation 6.95 to 5%. Okay. Now July, August, September, I want to bring down to 4%. Okay. Now, that's my intermediate target. Okay. I want to bring economic stability because high inflation collapses the economy. Right. That's my economic stability I want to achieve. Now, what is choosing policy instrument? Okay, the economy has a inflation problem, right? I'm the doctor. Okay, I'm the doctor. Alright, the only doctor. The best prescription is what tool you need to choose. The best available tools is increase the repo rate or short-term interest rate. Increase the repo rate or short-term interest rate. Increase the repo rate, short-term interest rate. So if you think that is not enough, increase even CRR. Okay, so based upon generally they increases the short-term interest rate, repo rate, because if you increase the repo rate, RBI commercial banks will increase the lending rate. Then firms cannot borrow, individuals cannot borrow money from the bank, and slowly, and individuals cannot borrow, firms cannot borrow, and individuals cannot demand goods and services, and slowly price level will come down. Clear? Clear, guys? Miman, there's not. I'm not drawing. If there is any diagram, I will draw the diagram. This is the theoretical stuff. Okay, practical stuff. I'm explaining so simple actually. I'm making it so simple. Okay, nobody else can make macroeconomics so simple. Okay, I'm making it simple. You need to understand. Okay, you need to grab it. I'm making it so simple. And आप लोग सब लोग पढ़कर आना है क्लास को आने से पहले पढ़कर आना है. I'm making it so simple. Instruments of monetary policy. Okay, clear, guys? This is clear. So, operating procedures, instruments means choosing the operating target. So, inflation is there. So, it creates a lot of economic instability. I want to achieve economic stability by June, July 2022. Current inflation rate 6.95. By June, I want to bring down to 5%. I need to choose appropriate policy instrument. Repo rate is the best instrument, okay, through which I want to control the credit supply in the economy, and I want to bring down the inflation. Actually, I'm not saying that. See, inflation is 6.95. Okay, now it takes time to bring down. Okay, it is not crossing. It is not crossing Dolo 650 you take tonight, and tomorrow morning your fever will come down. The economy, boss, it takes time. Moreover, oil prices are increasing. Input cost is increasing. Food items are increasing. Vegetable prices are increasing. Fruits are increasing. Okay, it takes time. It takes time to bring down. You can't bring down inflation from 6.95 to 4% in 10 days, 20 days. It takes time. Okay. Okay. See, I'm giving medicine for the fever. So if I'm giving medicine for fever, you should not develop stomach problem. You should not develop headache. You should not develop kidney problem. You should not develop heart problem. If you develop those problems, then whatever medicine I'm giving for fever, it will not be enough. I'm giving medicine, right? Now I'm giving medicine. It takes time to cure, provided other things are under control, right? Oil prices should be under control. Then only price level will come down. So instruments of monetary policy. Instruments of monetary policy. Instruments of monetary policy. Any doubts? Instruments of monetary policy. Okay. So first one is cash reserve ratio. So what is the percentage? 4%. Okay. We discussed in last class. Okay. Out of total deposits, 4% of deposits should be kept by RBI with commercial banks. Out of total deposits, 4% of deposits should be kept by RBI, should be kept by commercial banks with RBI. Suppose 100 rupees I deposited, 4% means 4 rupees should kept by SBI with RBI. 4 rupees should kept by SBI with RBI. The purpose of CRR is to protect the interest of depositors. To protect the interest of depositors. The purpose of CRR is to protect the interest of depositors. Is to protect the interest of depositors. Muktalas, RBI will not control the prices every day. Okay, RBI meets once in 2 months, once in 3 months. Okay, when they meet, they give the medicine. Okay, when they give the medicine, it takes time to have the impact on the economy. Okay, when you are giving medicine for the economy. Okay, so if you have a fever, doctor will give you medicine. You take 2 days fever to come down. But when I'm giving medicine for the entire economy, it takes time. No, okay, medicine to work. Okay, medicine takes longer time to work. Okay, medicine takes longer time to work. Okay, so RBI reviews inflation every month. Every review committee, they once in 3 months they meet, they review the inflation rate. If the inflation rate is coming down, okay, they take action accordingly. If inflation rate is not coming down, they take action accordingly. Okay, they review every 3 months. Clear? Raghava, Sri Lanka crisis inflation cost to excess borrowing. Increase and repo rate will work. Raghava, Sri Lankan crisis different thing. Okay, Sri Lankan economy depends upon textiles and tourism. Okay, and okay, what happened because of COVID? Their economy got affected. Okay, and they followed loose monetary policy. Okay, they didn't follow proper monetary policy, fiscal policy, and resulting in increase in debt. Okay, and moreover, because of lack of tourism, their foreign exchange reserves are dried up. Okay, and impacting the economy. Okay, so Sri Lankan economy is a failure on the part of the government and failure on the part of RBI, their central bank, resulting in severe crisis. Moreover, political turmoil, okay, political conflict, they badly run the economy. Okay, now Sri Lankan economy, their currency got depreciated to 300 rupees against US dollar. Okay, if you give $1, they have to give 300 rupees. Rupee got depreciated, badly mismanaged economy. See, Sri Lankan economy depends upon the tourism and textiles. Okay, and okay, so their economy got affected because of COVID and bad mismanagement of the government and wrong policies of monetary policy. Pooja, CPI will not consider gold. Okay, CPI will not consider gold. CPI will consider oil. Okay, gold we don't consider. Okay, so CPI will considers oil, not gold. Okay, it doesn't include gold. So CPI considers oil. The oil is something on which RBI has no control. Oil something on which RBI has no control. Okay, oil price is determined in the world market between demand and supply. Demand supply determine the price of the oil. India imports 80% of the oil, and India has no control on the oil price. And oil price determined every day morning 6 a.m. Okay, oil price determined every day morning 6 a.m. by demand and supply. Okay, and similarly, gold prices, silver prices, and so many metal commodity prices are determined on daily basis. So RBI has no control on the oil prices. Oil prices are determined by the world market demand and supply. So unless world market prices, oil prices are come down, then only we can bring down the inflation. Okay, so when only we can bring down the price of oil. Okay, RBI has no control. Okay, so takes time. Okay, takes time because of the war between Ukraine and Russia, resulting in increase in the price of oil. Okay, and so it's really hurting the economy. And India depending upon 80% of the oil, though we're encouraging the consumption of electronic vehicles. Okay, it takes time. Okay, so 2070 India might give up completely oil. Okay, and we'll use only electronic vehicles. Till then, we have to face this problem. I repeat again, morning 6 a.m. the price of the petrol, diesel is determined in India. Every day, gold prices, silver prices, many other commodities prices are determined by demand and supply. Hitesh, these are the current rates only. Current rates only. Okay, current rates only. Last class I said SLR 23%, SLR 18% only. That's only correction. And Himanshu, I didn't discuss MSF. Why you're talking about MSF here? Pooja, clear? I answered all the questions, guys. So we're discussing CR. Okay. CRR, out of the total deposits, every bank has to keep 4%. Okay, 100 rupees I deposit in SBI, open the account, and SBI has to keep 4 rupees with the SBI has to keep 4 rupees with the RBI. Okay, 4 rupees with the RBI, and okay, and in the form of cash. And the purpose of CRR is to protect the interest of the depositor. The problem with RBI is CRR is RBI will not pay any rate of interest on the CRR balances kept by commercial banks with RBI. Since 2007, RBI stopped paying rate of interest. Okay, since 2007, RBI stopped paying rate of interest on CRR balances kept by commercial banks with RBI. Since 2007. Now, so RBI foregoing rate of interest on CRR balances. Had RBI got this 4 rupees, had bank got this 4 rupees, had bank got this 4 rupees, lend this money, they would have earned rate of interest. So there is a double whammy, double loss. What is double loss? RBI not paying any rate of interest on my CRR balances. On the other hand, you are not allowing me to lend this money to others. So there is a double loss of rate of interest. Okay, double loss of rate of interest by commercial banks because RBI is not paying any rate of interest. Had I lent this 4 rupees to somebody else, I would have had rate of interest. So I am losing double loss. Double whammy means double loss of income. Now, what RBI is saying? RBI is saying, "Arey Papa, I agree with you. You are incurring double loss. You include that money. You include that loss in the lending rate. Okay, you include that loss in the lending rate. I will not pay any rate of interest on CRR." Okay. Mukta Vyas, again you're writing 5th point, 4th point. I won't reply. Okay. Now CRR. Suppose inflation rate is very high, then RBI will increase the CRR along with repo rate. RBI might increase even CRR. Suppose inflation rate is low, RBI might decrease CRR. During independence time, our CRR is something about 48%. It came down to 4%. Raghava, try to understand. Hey, Raghava is asking good question here. Raghava, see, I try to borrow. See what happens. I tell you, I understand. Raghava, try to understand. Mukta Vyas, I didn't discuss bank rate reverse repo rate. Why you're talking about that? See, Raghava is asking a beautiful question here. Raghava, try to understand. See, government expenditure. I'll try to explain with code. 1 second, guys. I'll explain, Raghava. 1 second. Okay, try to understand Raghava here. Okay. See, government expenditure is, say for example, 100. Now, government first determines the expenditure. And now government tries to incur this expenditure through revenue, right? Revenue is what? Revenue is nothing but taxes. Okay, direct taxes, indirect taxes. So how much taxes government will impose? Government will impose how much taxes? If they want to incur expenditure 100, government will impose taxes how much? 100. But Unfortunately, government realized for only how much? 60. So 100 minus 60 is equal to deficit. Deficit in budget. Deficit in budget. Okay. So how much? 100 minus 40 for 60. How much? Deficit how much? 40. Okay. So what does government will do? What does government will do? Please take a photo. Please take a photo. This is a very interesting explanation. So what does? Please take a photo through mobile phone. What does government will do to meet this deficit? Okay, they borrow internally. They borrow internally. Okay, internally means what? Public and banks. How much they borrow? They borrow 10. Okay, now external borrowing. How much external borrowing they borrow? 20. So 10 plus 20, 30. I require 40. So what I'll do? Okay, I will go for disinvestment. What is disinvestment? Selling loss-making public sector units. Recently, Government of India disposed of Air India. So what I'll do? I will dispose of Air India. Okay. How much I got? I got 5. I got 5. So how much I got? I got 10 plus 20 plus 5. How much I got? 35. How much I need? How much is my deficit? How much is my deficit? My deficit is 40. So 40 minus 35 is equal to 5. So the last option is deficit financing. Okay, the last option is deficit financing. Okay, what is deficit financing? Deficit financing means RBI prints new currency against government securities. Okay, RBI prints new currency against government securities. When RBI prints new currency against government securities, it will lead to increase in money supply. So increase in money supply more than money demand, rate of interest will fall. So the rate of interest will fall. People will borrow more money from the bank and start demanding goods and services. It might lead to inflation. So deficit financing, also known as monetization of debt. Okay, both are same. So deficit financing leads to increase in money supply. Any increase in money supply lead to inflation. That's the reason why no country would go for deficit financing. No country would go for deficit financing because deficit financing leads to inflation. So what they do? They borrow internal sources from public and banks. They borrow from external sources. External sources borrowing is what? IMF and World Bank and disinvestment means selling loss-making public sector unit. All these things will do, but I will not go for deficit financing, monetization of debt, where RBI prints new currency against government securities. Deficit financing is not, no country follows now because they're afraid of inflation. Clear, Raghava? Beautifully explained. I don't know whether it is this kind of explanation you read anywhere in your lifetime. Okay, Raghava explained beautifully well. Okay, so deficit financing no country follows because deficit financing leads to inflation in the economy. Deficit financing leads to inflation in the economy. Okay, we'll take a break. I'll take you. Any doubts? Sir, we'll take a break, sir. Hello? Hello, sir, are you there? Hello? Hello? Hello, sir. Hello? 10 minutes break. Thank you. Somebody's asking me to explain again. Deficit financing. Look at here. Guys, try to understand deficit financing. See, your father gets monthly income of 10,000 rupees. Then he incurs expenditure. Okay. Suppose your father income is 10,000 rupees. Now, this month, what happened? He got his expenditure is 15,000 rupees. And what does your father will borrow? Their father will borrow 5,000 rupees. Okay. So, because his income is only 10,000 rupees, 5,000 rupees he borrow from bank or friends. And 5,000 rupees he borrowed. The borrowing itself is called deficit financing. Okay. So, what I'm saying is, but your father gets monthly income. Government does opposite. First, government determines the expenditure. Okay, government determined expenditure, how much? 100 crores. Government determined expenditure, how much? 100 crores. Okay, now how does government, government determines expenditure 100 crores. For what? For financial year 2022-23. That is April, March. Now, how does government get this money income? Through taxes. Okay. So, how much taxes government has to impose? Okay. Government has to impose taxes. How much? Government has to impose taxes worth 100 crores. Okay. Because I need to incur expenditure means my taxes should be 100 crores. But unfortunately, because of corona pandemic, how much I got? I got only 60 crores. 60 crores. Now, 100 minus 60, 40 crores deficit. Okay. So how do I make the deficit? So I have to borrow. So first preference is what? Internal borrowing. Okay. Public and banks. Okay. So public and banks, I issue bonds and borrow how much? How much I got? I got only through bonds. How much I got? 10 crores. So how much I require? 40 minus 10, 30. External borrowing, IMF and World Bank. How? Against government securities. So how much I got? 20 crores. Now disinvestment, dispose of Air India, any loss making public sector unit, I'll dispose of. So how much I got? 5 crores. So 10 plus 2 plus 5, 35 crores. Okay. Now how much I require? 40. 40 minus 35, 5 crores. 5 crores deficit. So this 5 crores deficit, the last option is deficit financing or monetization of debt, where RBI prints currency against government securities. So deficit financing, all countries are stopped because deficit financing leads to inflation by increasing money supply. Okay, so all countries stop deficit financing or monetization of debt. Hemant, clear? Hemant, clear? Explain it for your sake. Clear, guys? Take a photo, take a photo, take a photo. This beautiful explanation. Take a photo, take a photo. I'm closing the slide. Take a photo, take a photo. Explain beautifully deficit financing. Take a photo from a mobile phone. Anirvinda is going to close this. So CRR is increased if only if there is high inflation, the CRR may be increased. Okay. Suppose there is a slowdown, recession, depression, okay, lack of growth, the CRR may be decreased. Okay. Now, statutory liquidity ratio, SLR. Okay. This we discussed 23%, actually 18%. Okay. So SLR of the total deposits, all banks have to keep 18% in the form of SLR. Okay. 18% in the form of SLR in approved government securities. So SLR is now 18%. Okay. So 4 plus 18, 22 rupees. So how much money bank can lend? 100 minus 22, banks can lend only 78 rupees. Okay. So SLR, okay, statutory liquidity ratio. Our total deposits, every bank has to keep 10% of the deposits 18% of the deposit in the form of SLR. Okay, statutory liquidity ratio. The purpose of SLR is to protect the bank from against lending. The purpose of SLR is to protect the bank from lending. Is to protect the bank from lending. Is to protect the bank from lending. Okay. Is to protect the bank from lending. Okay. Now SLR also increased, decreased when there is inflation. SLR can be increased to prevent banks from lending. Okay. Suppose there is a slowdown, recession, depression, SLR can be decreased. Repo rate. Okay, repo rate, the rate at which RBI lends money, the repo rate, the rate at which RBI lends money to commercial banks, okay, against government securities. Repo rate, the rate at which RBI lends money to commercial banks at government, at approved against government securities. Repo rate, the rate at which RBI lends money to commercial banks against government securities. Okay, now repo rate, okay, repo rate is known as short-term interest rate in India. It is also called short-term interest rate in developed countries. Developed countries don't use the term repo rate; they call short-term interest rate. In India, it is called repo rate and short-term interest rate. Okay, now reverse repo rate. Reverse repo rate. Okay, reverse repo rate. Okay, the reverse repo rate, the rate at which RBI borrows money from commercial banks. The rate at which RBI borrows money from commercial banks. Now, current rate is 3.35. The current rate is 3.35. Okay. Now, the purpose of reverse repo rate, whenever there is excess liquidity in the market, RBI may use reverse repo rate. When there is excess liquidity in the market, RBI uses a reverse repo rate. Okay. And SLR is protecting the bank from against lending. Suppose in case any default happens, any customer, any default happens in paying the principal rate of interest, SLR provides a cushion for the bank, okay, against lending. Okay, some kind of a cushion. Okay, lending default happens. Okay, and if there is NPA, okay, if there is NPA, bad debts, SLR provides a kind of a cushion for the bank against the lending. Some cushion or some protection. Okay, okay. Now, reverse repo rate, the rate at which RBI borrows money from the commercial banks. Okay, 3.35. Okay, so the reverse repo rate is used to, if there is excess liquidity, RBI may increase reverse repo rate. Okay, or if there is no, okay, so repo rate is always higher than the reverse repo rate. Okay, so when I lend, I charge you more. When I take, I pay you less. When I lend you, I charge you more. When I pay you less. So repo rate is always higher than reverse repo rate. Clear? Clear, guys. Now, bank rate or discount rate. Okay, this I'll explain with the help of a table. Okay, bank rate or discount rate. Bank rate or discount rate. What is the rate now? 4.24. Okay, suppose X borrowed rupees 1,000 from Ram. So Ram will write a bill of exchange on X as a collateral. Okay. So and gives 1,000 to X. Now, suddenly, Ram needs money. So what he would do? He would discount the bill with any bank. Okay, that bank will not pay rupees 1,000. It will pay, say for example, 940 or 950 to Ram. Clear, guys? With me, all of you understanding? Now Ram requires, now that bank requires money. So what does it do? It rediscount the bill with RBI, okay, at 4.25%. Here guys, so nicely explained. Okay, it rediscount the bill at RBI. Yes. So bank rate, discount rate, the rate at which RBI discount the bill of exchange with RBI. But bank rate, discount rate is no longer used by RBI as an instrument because bank rate, discount rate now replaced by repo rate. Okay. So bank rate, discount rate now replaced by RBI. Kevin, Kevin, liquid additional facility means what? Repo reverse repo rate agreement. When RBI borrows money from the commercial banks, okay. Now RBI when RBI borrows money from the commercial banks, it gives back the securities. It gives back the securities back to banks. Okay, that's called repo repurchase agreement. Okay, repo repurchase agreement. Okay, it's called a liquidity adjustment facility. Okay, okay. When RBI borrows money through reverse repo window, it makes use of the securities given by commercial banks earlier under repo rate and to raise the money. This is what liquid adjustment facility. Liquid adjustment facility. Clear, guys? Okay, bank rate, discount rate. Next is marginal standing facility, MSF. Okay, MSF, marginal standing facility. Okay, so MSF is a special window created by RBI. MSF is a special window created by RBI to make them to make commercial banks borrow at a rate higher than repo rate. Okay, what is repo rate? 4%. So special window created. Okay, now MSF is what? MSF is what? Special window created by RBI for commercial banks. In case all commercial banks exhausted all these securities under repo rate, still they require liquidity, and intra-bank liquidity dries up. Liquidity is not, so SBI wants liquidity. So we'll take Punjab National Bank. Okay, now Punjab National Bank requires liquidity. Okay, now Punjab National Bank exhausted all the securities under repo rate. Okay, now a customer came to bank and he wants to take loan from Punjab National Bank. Punjab National Bank doesn't have securities to borrow under repo rate. So Punjab National Bank would ask SBI through borrow from SBI as intra-bank borrowing. SBI says, I don't have money. So in such case, emergency window created by RBI to enable Punjab National Bank to borrow under MSF window at a rate higher than repo rate. Okay, by using surplus securities over and above SLR. Surplus securities over and above SLR. Okay, so MSF is a special window created by RBI for commercial bank in case in case in case in case a bank exhausted all the securities under repo rate and unable to borrow from unable to get intra bank borrowing. So special window created by RBI to make commercial bank to borrow from RBI special window under MSF rate at rate higher than repo rate using surplus government securities. Surplus government securities. Clear, guys? Clear, guys? Clear? Marginal standing facility. I repeat again. MSF. Okay, special window. Why special window? Emergency window. Who wants this emergency window? Bank wants. Bank customer has come. I exhausted all my securities under repo rate. Okay. Now customer has come and Punjab National Bank wants to borrow from SBI. SBI says, Baba, I don't have money. Okay. Intra-bank borrowing, right? I don't have money. So I need money. Customer has come to bank. So I'll borrow under MSF window at a rate higher than repo rate using my securities over and above MSF rate as using against government securities. Okay, clear, guys? Okay. Mukta Vyas, these rates are not fixed. Mukta Vyas, these rates are not fixed. Market stabilization scheme, MSS. Okay, MSS, market stabilization scheme, MSS. Market stabilization scheme means what happens whenever repo rate is short-term interest rate in India higher than US. What happened? There will be lot of capital inflow. Okay, what is capital inflow? Yeah, foreign institutional investment and FFIs and FDI, they will come into India. When they come to India, rupee would appreciate against the rupee would appreciate against the dollar. Okay, rupee would appreciate against the dollar. Okay, now to prevent the rupee appreciation, what does RBI will do? RBI will sell the dollars. Okay, when RBI sell the dollars to and to prevent rupee appreciation, RBI will purchase the dollars. Okay, RBI will purchase the dollars. Okay, RBI will purchase the dollars. Market stabilization scheme. We'll get back to this after the open market operations. Okay, then you understand better. Open market operations means buying and selling of securities by RBI in the open market. Okay, buying of selling of securities by RBI in the open market. Okay, suppose when RBI buys the securities, okay, suppose there is excess liquidity in the banking system. Okay, RBI wants to suck out liquidity in the banking system. RBI wants to suck out the excess liquidity in the banking system. Okay, and when RBI wants to suck out excess liquidity in the banking system, what does RBI will do? RBI will buy the securities. When RBI buys the securities, securities will go into the hands of RBI and RBI buys the when the excess liquidity in the banking system, RBI will sell the securities. When RBI sells the securities, securities will go from the hands of RBI. The board will explain better. Okay. One second, I'll explain. Next one is board and button. Okay. I'll explain with the board. Okay. Open market pool. Open market operations. Also known as OMO. Okay. Okay. Suppose there is excess liquidity in the banking system. So what does RBI will do? What does RBI will do? RBI will sell the securities in the market. When RBI sell the securities, what happened? Securities will go to banks and liquidity comes back to, okay. So open market operation means buying and selling of securities by RBI. Okay. So assume there is shortage of liquidity in the banking system. Okay. Then RBI will purchase the securities. Now RBI purchase securities. Securities will go to the hands of RBI and liquidity will go from RBI to banks. Okay. So then banks will decrease the lending rate. Okay. So if there is excess liquidity, I'll sell the securities. So I do think then the excess liquidity bank system is what? It might lead to inflation. So to prevent that, what I'll do, I'll sell securities. When I sell securities, securities will go into the hands of the banks and I'll get the cash. Okay. Suppose there is economy is not growing, slowdown, recession or depression, what RBI will do? RBI will purchase the securities. When RBI purchase securities from the banks, securities will go into the hands of RBI and banks will get the liquidity. They'll decrease the lending rate. So then firms will borrow, individuals will borrow. Okay, investment will increase, output will increase, employment will increase, income will increase. Okay. Okay. Clear. Clear, guys. Open market operations. Clear, guys. Okay. Now we'll go to okay. Now we'll go to the erase this. Okay. We'll go to this market stabilization scheme. You'll understand that. Market stabilization scheme. Okay. Also known as MSS. Okay. MSS, when I use MSS, okay, I use MSS so I use MSS only when there is excess liquidity in the market. Okay, by selling government securities. Okay, now I don't think MSS scheme being used by RBI. Okay, the scheme is not there, but it's part of the syllabus. Okay, but MS is used only when there is excess liquidity in the banking system by selling government securities. Clear, guys? Himanshu, RBI stopped using this bank rate. Raghava, see, Raghava, try to understand here. See, MSF, okay, see, generally bank borrows, Raghava, try to understand, under repo window. Exhausted means whatever securities I have, I exhausted, means used it. Okay, now customer inside the bank, I need liquidity. Okay, now I try to borrow intra-bank. Intra-bank means what? Borrowing from other commercial bank. Okay. Now commercial banks, they don't have money. So RBI created special window under MSF. Okay. Now MSF at the rate higher than the repo rate. Okay. Using over and above securities left for SLR. Okay, SLR, they keep more securities, okay, more than the required securities, okay, as a cushion. Okay, these securities are being used to borrow under MSF rate at 4.25. Clear, guys? Oh, share this screen. Okay. Long-term repo rate. Okay. Okay. It's also known term long-term repo rate. Okay. This is introduced by Shaktikant others. Okay. Long-term repo rate. Okay. Now, if repo rate is what? Short-term. If banks require long-term money, they can borrow from RBI at the same rate as repo rate, 4%. Okay. For long-term needs of the bank, okay. Long-term needs of the bank, RBI introduced, okay, long-term repo rate operation. It's also known as total long-term repo rate. Okay, they can meet long-term needs of the credit requirements. Okay, at a rate similar to repo rate. Okay, to reduce the cost of borrowing for the bank. Clear, guys? Any doubts? MS is no longer being used. Okay. MS is no longer being used. Okay, it was introduced in 2004. I don't think MS is being introduced, but it's part of your syllabus. Clear? So we discussed CRR, we discussed SLR, we discussed repo rate, we discussed reverse repo rate, we discussed bank rate, discount rate, we discussed MSF, and we discussed open market operations, and we discussed long-term repo rate operation. It's called total long-term repo rate. Okay. We explained again bank rate here. So monetary policy framework agreement. Okay. Monetary policy framework agreement. Okay. So 2015, the government of India, Reserve Bank of India, they come for an understanding and with regard to inflation, and they appointed a committee headed by then RBI Deputy Governor Urjit Patel. Okay, the objective of monetary policy framework agreement is to ensure price stability in the country. India is a country, you can't afford high inflation, so they want to ensure price stability. What should be the price level desirable for India? Okay, what should be the price level desirable for India? So Urjit committee submitted a report. So in Urjit committee said India inflation rate target should be 4 plus or minus 2%. Okay, plus or minus 2%. Okay, plus or minus 2% means plus or minus 2% means inflation in India should go up to 6%, cannot fall below 2%, 4 plus or minus 2. Okay, it means India inflation should go up to 6%, cannot fall below 2%. Okay, so this framework has come into from 2016. Okay, and now in case inflation, India central bank not able to achieve this target. Okay, now and inflation is more than 6%. Okay, or less than 6%, and RBI has to give explanation to government why inflation rate is above the target. You know, RBI has to give explanation. If inflation rate above 6%, now 6.95, government should have, RBI should give explanation why inflation rate is very high. Then RBI gives explanation, inflation rate is high because of oil prices, increasing input costs, increasing in the food, vegetable items, increasing the price of wheat, rice. It gives explanation and what measures it's taking to control the inflation, how long it takes for them to bring back the inflation to 4% till December 2022. They give the time frame. So they say that before July will bring down to 5% and December will bring down to 4.5. Next January will bring down to 4%. They have to give explanation. They have to give explanation. Okay. Okay. Clear? So this inflation target again are 2016 is followed for 4% plus or minus 2. Same target has been retained in 2000 now 5 years. Okay, so again they retained 2021 again they said they thought that the inflation target should be retained to 2026. That same target should be maintained 4 plus or minus 2. Clear, guys? So 2016 it started. So for 5 years, 2021 they took a decision that will retain the inflation target of 4% plus or minus 2 till 2026. I think 2022. Sorry, 2022. Okay, 2022 they decided. 2021, 2016. So 5 years, 2021 they took a decision. Another 5 years, inflation target will be retained. Inflation target will be retained to 4%. So you see now current inflation target is 4.95%. Okay. Okay. Now RBI now has to take a call to increase the repo rate because inflation rate is 6.95 and above the maximum level. What is the maximum level? 6%. Now from 6% they have to bring back to 5.5, 4.75, 4% they have to bring. So it might take 2 years for RBI to bring down inflation to 4%. So they have the monetary policy committee. Okay, monetary policy committee. The monetary policy committee they appointed. So monetary policy committee comprises 6 members, 3 members from Government of India and 3 members from RBI. Okay, now their target is to decide the repo rate for inflation. This target is to decide the repo rate for inflation. Okay, so now 2016 they had a first meeting. So this monetary policy committee they review the inflation in the country. Okay, so monetary policy committee comprises comprises 3 members. 3 members from RBI, 3 members from Government of India. They review the inflation rate, okay, and they decide whether to increase the repo rate or decrease the reverse repo rate. They met April 8th last time, and they decided to not to increase the repo rate in the interest of the growth of the economy. Okay, so okay. With 6 members, I told you 3 members from RBI, 3 members from the Government of India. Members from RBI are Governor, who is the chairman of Shaktikanta Das, is the chairman of Monetary Policy Committee, Deputy Governor, and 1 officer from RBI. The government members are appointed by the center. Okay, on the recommendations of Suchcom Selection Committee. On the basis of recommendation of the Suchcom Selection Committee, which is headed by cabinet secretary. Okay, so government has a selection committee which is headed by cabinet secretary. They appoint 3 people. Government said 3 people, and RBI is 3 people. They meet 4 times in a year. Okay, they meet 4 times in a year. Okay, and they make the decision public with regard to their approach to the inflation in the economy or growth in the economy. What kind of policy decision they want to take. Okay. Under monetary policy, governor has only casting vote. He doesn't enjoy the veto power. Okay, they removed the veto power like US. He only has to cast his vote. Okay, whether to increase the repo rate or decrease the repo rate or keep repo rate constant. So they have to cast a vote. They have to cast a vote. Okay, clear, guys? Okay. So you see the committee members now. Ashima Goyal, Professor of Economics, Indira Gandhi Institute of Development. She is government employed person. Shashank Bide, Senior Advisor Research Program at the National Council of Applied Economic Research, New Delhi. Jayant R. Verma, Professor of Finance and Accounting at Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad. You see, these 3 members are selected through Search-cum Selection Committee. Search-cum Selection Committee headed by Cabinet Secretary selected this Ashima Goyal, Shashank Bide and Jayant R. Verma. Jayant R. Verma. Jayant R. Verma. Ashima Goyal, Shashank Bide, Jayant R. Verma are selected by government search cabinet secretary through such committee panel. Now 3 members from RBI, Shaktikanta Das, Governor of RBI, Michael Patra, Deputy Governor of RBI, Mridul Sagaran, Executive Director of RBI. You see, 6 members. Okay, so this name is not required for your exam. This is only for your GK, for your understanding. Okay, I repeat again. The government members are appointed by the center on the recommendation of such committee, Search-cum Selection Committee, which is headed by Cabinet Secretary. Who are all? Ashima Goyal, Shashank Bide, Jayant R. Verma. These 3 are from government. And Shaktikanta Das, Michael Patra, Mridul Sagaran, all 3 are from RBI. Clear? Now, practice questions. Practice questions. Okay. Comment on the conflicting objectives of monetary. Yes, RBI has conflicting objectives of growth and inflation. Explain interest rate channel of monetary policy. First question. This first point. What is MSF rate when it is used by banks? What is the essence of monetary policy framework? Comment on the role of monetary policy committee. So these are the questions. Practice questions I have given. Now, true or false? You have to give me the answer for this. Reverse repo rate is higher than the repo rate. MSF rate is equal to repo rate. RBI pays interest on CRR. RBI inflation target is 6%. SLR is kept in bonds equally. Decrease in repo rate will lead to capital outflow. Short-term interest rate, bank rate are one and the same. Give me your answers, guys. Reverse repo rate higher than reverse rate, false. Kaveri. MSF rate is equal to false. RBI pays rate of interest on CRR, false. Fourth question, RBI inflation target is 6%. What is the answer for fourth one? Fourth one, inflation target is RBI is 4%. SLR kept cash bonds equally, false. Decrease in repo rate will lead to capital outflow. True. Short-term interest rate, because if increase repo rate, capital inflow will come. If you decrease the repo rate, capital will go. Short-term interest rate, back rate are one and the same. No, false. Okay, let me take few MCQs here. The target rate of inflation for India is A, 4%. Muktadas, target rate of inflation in India is 4%. Target rate of inflation for India is 4%. 1A. The repo rate is RBI lends money to commercial banks. Open market operations imply buying and selling securities by RBI. 3A. MSF rate is higher than repo rate. CRR should be maintained in what? CRR should be maintained in cash. Bank rate at which RBI lends money to commercial banks. 6B. Reverse repo rate. Reverse repo rate is lower than repo rate. MPC comprises 6 members. SLR should be maintained. Bonds, A. The reverse repo rate is commercial banks lends money to RBI. 10B. Clear? Let me take a recap. Targeted repo rate of inflation is 4%. Repo rate is RBI lends money to commercial banks. 2D. 3A. 4th, MSF rate is higher than repo rate. A. CRR should be maintained in cash. A. Bank rate is the rate at which RBI lends money to commercial banks. Reverse repo rate is lower than repo rate. D. MPC comprises 6 members. SLR should be maintained in bonds. Reverse repo rate is commercial banks lends money to RBI. Clear? Clear, guys? Clear? So first A, second D, 3A, 4th A, 5th A, 6th B, 7th D, 8th C 9A 10. Okay, I'm giving one more question here. Okay, one more question I want to give without option. On which of the following instruments RBI has no control? A. Back rate. B. No, RBI. MPC. Monetary Policy Committee has no control. B. MSF. C. Reverse repo rate. D. Repo rate. What is the answer for this? Mansha, approved government securities, securities only. No, not gold. MPC has no control. MPC has no control over reverse repo rate. Clear, guys? Any doubts? Okay, I leave you one question here. Okay, I leave one question. After you will answer. Okay. You need to answer me. Why publishing houses such as Sultan Chand, Tata, McGraw-Hill, okay, etc. launch every year revised and enlarged editions? It is a cracker. It is a cracker question. Can you answer? Can you answer me by tomorrow? It is my pleasure. It is my pleasure to teach you all. Bless each one of you. Why publishing houses such as Sultan Chand, Tata McGraw-Hill, etc. launch every year revised and enlarged editions? It's a cracker question. Can you answer me by tomorrow? It's my pleasure to teach all of you. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you. Take care. I hope I've been able to clear all your doubts. Okay. Please type your questions properly in the chat box. Okay. I need to understand the question clearly. Okay. Can we see tomorrow? Same time, 6 o'clock. Thank you. Sir, can we wind up, sir? Hello? Sir, can we wind up? Over, sir. See you tomorrow.